Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and I've been wanting to try a reverse glitter ombre for quite some time now. So I'm finally going to give it a try, and I'm using two colors from the Tequila Sunrise collection from Seat and Designer Dips. Even though the collection is Tequila Sunrise themed, I feel like it makes a really great Halloween mani, especially this glitter fireball, which reminds me of candy corn. I create so much content, I feel like my natural nails take a beating even with peel base, so I will be doing press-ons for today's video. So if you're wondering if you can do press-ons with dip powder, you absolutely can, and I'll show you how. So I will be doing press-ons for a little bit, for a while I give my natural nails a little TLC till I get them healthy and healed, and then I'll go back to regular dipping. I know a lot of you prefer seeing dipping on nails rather than press-ons, so don't worry, it's going to be press-ons for maybe a couple of weeks or so, but then I will go back once I feel like my nails are healthy enough. I do my nails so often and I create so much content that I feel like my natural nails take a bit of a beating. Even though I do wear peel base, I still feel like so much kind of wears on my natural nails. So I want to make sure that I'm nursing them back, making them healthy again, because I love doing my nails. I love doing them a lot because it's kind of my me time. It's my therapy, but I don't want to do it at the expense of my natural nails. So I'm going to get them back to healthy again, and then I will be more careful when I'm doing my nails. But back to what I'm doing, the key to dip powder with press-ons is making them as thin as possible, because dip powder can get thick quickly. Like gel polish, regular polish, they're kind of thinner, but when it comes to dip powder, it's a bit thicker. So when you're using press-ons, if your dip powder is thick, it's going to become really obvious that they're press-ons, and I still want them to look really natural. So if I wasn't doing press-ons, I would just pour over for the thinner layers, but I don't know, it's kind of difficult to pour over with press-ons in like the little stands because I didn't get the powder all over my fingers. So I just dumped my entire jar into my Chaos Gemerld, and I'm just dipping in that way. And by the way, this is Tequila Sunrise, so as you can maybe tell, this is a thermal, so you can see the different colors on the fingers. And then as I kind of touch it to kind of press in that powder, you can see it change from the heat of my fingers. So this is actually going to go on my index finger, ring finger, and pinky. And then I'm going to do the reverse glitter ombre on the thumb and ring finger. So once I've finished with my first layer, I'm going to go ahead and dust off the excess powder. I want to make sure that I'm removing any of that. That's going to help reduce any bulk. It's going to help prevent my dip base brush from getting gunked up. And then I'm going to go in with layer 2. So I'm just applying a thin, even layer of dip base to that entire tip. I want to make sure that it's not too much dip base to where it's kind of spilling over the sides of it, because that could affect the fit of the press-ons. And then once I dip in, I'm just going to press down a little bit just to make sure that all the dip base is fully absorbed and that everything is laying flat and smooth. Even though these are press-ons, I still do 2 dips of the color, and then I cap them in clear before I activate and then move on to my glitter. But I can with these powders. So this is a solid, it's pretty thin, so I don't really have to worry about too much bulk. And I'll show you at the end that they don't end up too thick at all. But I would say if this were more opaque of a color and I could have gotten away with 1 dip, I would have just left it at the 1. But I did feel like I needed a little more opacity with Tequila Sunrise, which is why I did the 2 dips. And then for capping and clear, I debated, instead of using a layer of clear dip powder, I debated using some gel base and gel top coat, but I decided it wasn't too thick with the 2 layers of the Tequila Sunrise, that it was probably okay that I capped in clear, and you'll see that it kind of works out. This thermal is so cool and I absolutely love it. It was kind of fascinating to watch the colors change. But I'm most excited about the glitter. Not only does the glitter remind me of candy corn, which I know it's a divisive topic, but I actually do really love candy corn. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. It's sugary sweet, yes, but it's just so good. But anyway, I'm really excited because I have been wanting to try, and I don't even know if it's called a reverse ombre. I'm just kind of calling it that because it's like, sometimes I'll do like a French tip glitter ombre, where like I'll do the glitter ombre at my tip, at my free edge, and then I'll do clear at the cuticle area. But this is kind of reverse of that. So I'm doing the glitter ombre at the cuticle area of my nail, and then the tip area is going to be the clear. So it's a little bit of reverse, and I just love the way it looks. And I think it would have turned out better with longer tips, but I think it does work with the shorter tips because I am using short almond tips. But regardless, I do love the way it turned out, and I was super excited to finally try it. I am using my CN Designer Dips Ultra Clear 2020, and I have a big jar of that, so I just split it into 2 smaller jars. So this is my jar of solid clear, only for the solid dip powders. And when I'm capping in clear, I always make sure that I use a little more dip base than I would normally for a regular dip, because I want to make sure that that clear is fully absorbed into that dip base. So you'll see as I dip into the clear after I apply that dip base, that you'll just see that clear automatically like get sucked in, and you don't see like any of that residue. Sometimes I will press in a little bit, but you see that absorbing fully, and that's going to make sure that you have like the clearest clear, you don't have any speckles or graininess. And I'll also, once it's fully dry, it's going to take a while to dry because there's so much excess dip base, but I find that's the easiest to do. So I let it dry a little bit longer, and then I'll give it a scrub with a stiff scrub brush just in case there's any excess clear, but I don't think there really is, just because you saw it just quickly absorb like that, how it looks a little wet. You don't see any of that clear dip powder or like that white residue. I kept my solid nails in clear and activated because I'm moving on to the glitter next, which is Fireball, and I didn't want to risk contaminating the solid nails with a stray piece of glitter. So to make it easier to use, I just dumped the jar of Fireball into my Chaos Gemerld, and I'm going to use an eyeshadow brush. This is a Wet n Wild brush that I get off of Amazon. I have it linked down below in my storefront, I believe, if you need an eyeshadow brush. These are super inexpensive and they work really well. I've had this brush for years. So as I kind of mentioned, for the reverse ombre, I do need clear as well. So this is my glitter clear that I have of my Ultra Clear 2020. So it's my other jar of that. And so for the ombre, I'm starting with the thumb tip, and I'm applying a thin, even layer of dip base. I have my tip pointed a little bit downwards towards like the free edge. And then I'm picking up some of that glitter with the eyeshadow brush, and then I'm tapping on so that the glitters will kind of cascade down towards the center of my nail. I wanted to go a little bit further than like the middle of my nail, just because I wanted to cover a little bit more. But when I'm happy with that coverage, because I'm going to do a second layer of it, I'm going to turn the nail upside down, tap off the excess glitter, and then I'm going to pour over the clear on the rest of that wet dip base to absorb it. I may press in a little bit. It still didn't look like I covered the whole thing with clear, so I'm just going to make sure that I cover it all with clear, and then I'm going to let that sit while I work on my ring finger as well. But I do press down a little bit just to make sure all that clear is fully absorbed, and I love the way this turned out. I may have to do this again, but I may try it with longer tips because I think it'll kind of accentuate the effect a little bit more. With this glitter being so packed, I probably could have just gotten away with one layer of the glitter ombre and then just doing a little glitter placement afterwards, if there are any spots that are a little bit bare, or if I wanted like some different colors to be dispersed throughout. But I ended up doing 2 layers of this ombre, and it was completely fine, and I kept the same order. So normally if I'm working with like 2 different colors, I will change up the order, like one color that I did first, I'll do it second for my second layer. But because it's a clear to glitter ombre, I'm going to do the same order of just a glitter ombre and then the clear on the rest. And because there's your press-ons, I want to make sure that they're not bulky. That's the key for making press-ons with dip powder. So as I'm pressing down, not only am I just kind of pressing in the clear to the dip base, I also want to make sure that the glitters are laying flat, that they aren't sticking up. And these glitters, even though they're chunkier, they're bigger, they were super easy to work with. So when I work with any kind of clear or any kind of sheer dip powder, I always like to make sure that I'm scrubbing with a stiff scrub brush. So even though this isn't a clear encapsulation, before I go in with my second layer, I want to make sure that I'm scrubbing off just in case there's any excess powder. And then I'm going to go in with layer 2, the same order I did with the first layer. I want to show you on one nail how I file these tips. So what I've been loving using lately for my shaping is Bonafide Beauty came out with a coarse grit glass nail file, and I love it for shaping. So it is only one-sided, but it's a coarser grit, so it's made for like acrylic nails, and I think it really works really well for shaping. Now I don't have to do a lot of shaping because at least for like the salad and the glitters too, actually, it's a bit thinner, so I don't really have like to worry about the shaping that much, but I just like to make sure that I'm cleaning it up, making sure that, you know, everything is straight. And look here, look at the thermal from where I was holding that tip. You can see it's just super sensitive, but I'm just going around like all the edges, the sidewalls, the cuticle area, and especially at the tip, just to make sure I kind of have like that rounded almond. And I always kind of struggle with press-ons on getting them to stay on through filing and buffing. So once I've got that shape kind of crisped up, I'm going to go ahead and take my buffer block and just buff the surface. That's all I'm really going to do. But because like anything sticky that I use to adhere my tips to my stands, they never stay during filing and buffing. So it falls off. So I just pick it up and then I just hold on to the tip, which becomes a little tricky to do, but I hold on to the tip. It's just easier that way. And then I finish up my buffing. This way I do kind of end up filing and buffing the mani that's on my left hand, the one that's holding the tip. But it is what it is at this point, and I already took pictures of it, so it's fine. And I am doing a little extra buffing at the cuticle area because that's where I want it to be the thinnest, because I want it to look natural. Like I want it to look like it's coming out of my nail, that it's not something that's just plopped on top of my nail. And as I'm watching this over, doing the voiceover, it kind of looks like I'm holding a carrot. I finished filing and buffing the rest of the nails off camera, so here's how they're looking. So now we're going to get into top coat, and I decided I wanted to use my gel top coat. So in order for your gel top coat to not peel off dip powder nails because it's so smooth, it does need something tacky to adhere to. So I'm going in with a thin, even layer of gel base first. I'm applying that to the whole nail. I want to make sure that it's kind of thin. It's not running over to the sides of the tip. And then I'm going to do this to all the nails. Once I've got that on, I'm going to cure it for 30 seconds. Once my gel base is cured for 30 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and go in with a layer of gel top coat. So I want to make sure that it's a thin, even layer. I want to make sure everything is nice and smooth before I cure it. So you'll see that after I apply the gel top coat to all the nails, I'm going to turn the stand upside down for about 10 seconds. And that's going to allow the gel top coat to level, which this is a great leveling top coat. And then I will cure it for a full 60 seconds. The tips are fully cooked and I let them cool down for about 1 to 2 minutes because they do get a little warm from the lamp. And now that they're cooled down, I'm going to take a lint-free wipe and some isopropyl alcohol. And just in case there's any excess residue from that gel top coat, I want to make sure that I'm removing it. So I'm wiping them down really well. And then I also want to remove them from the tip and clean the underside as well. So dip powder does get on the underside, which can affect the adhesion of the tips. So in order to get them to stay on your nails, you want to make sure that you're cleaning both the top and the bottom of the tips, removing any of that excess powder, because the powder will make your tips not stick to your nails. And the reason I wait a minute or two after I take the tips out of the lamp before I wipe them down with some isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free wipe is because when they're still warm from the lamp, if you wipe them down, it'll affect the shininess, and for some reason it'll dull the shininess. So whether you're wiping your nails down or you're applying cuticle oil, when you're using gel top coat, you always want to make sure that it's cooled down first. So I'm going to finish wiping off these nails. I'm going to apply the tips off camera, and if you're curious, I do use sticky tabs to apply the press-ons. I'm going to apply some cuticle balm and then we will wrap things up. My tips are now applied. I'm going to go ahead and rehydrate my cuticles using my Scales of Mermaid Cuticle Balm. This is in a newly released scent, but Cinderella pumpkins are way better. And this is everything when I think about fall. It's very clovey and cinnamony and very warm and cozy. And it kind of reminds, I don't know if this sounds weird, but it kind of reminds me of like when I step into a Cracker Barrel. I think those restaurants are nationwide. They're like a restaurant / country store. It kind of reminds me, it gives me like country store vibes, like Cracker Barrel country store vibes. And I just love it. It's just so comforting and so warm. So that wraps up today's video, and here's the finished look. I just think this is such a fun mani, and even though there's not any nail art, it still gives me Halloween vibes. And do you see what I mean, where I feel like the reverse glitter tip would have been better with longer tips, but I still love the way this turned out. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this, and also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.